both players already ready. Are you guys ready here for game number 2?
This is for the 3rd and 4th place matchup. Looks like we have started. A lot of money on the line, $41,000 and a little bit more given away this weekend at Red Bull Battlegrounds. First place, $10,000. I believe these guys are battling for about $2,500. The difference between the two. So
that's the difference. I believe it is $5,500 for the winner, which that is indeed a lot, especially considering that it is 3rd, 4th, not even the grand finals.
Yeah.
So let's introduce our players. Down in the bottom right side, able to kill my favorite unit, the poor carrier. So lonely, but regardless, a lot of fans here. Please give a cheer for Stefano.
And in the northeast position as the blue Protoss, he made it here, unfortunately, by being defeated by his own teammate, but still trying to represent StarTale. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Squirtle.
We do see Squirtle going to be dropping that pylon down there on the low ground. And we'll see exactly how he decides to wall this in. You could attempt to wall in the ramp, but that is a huge ramp. And if it's anything like we've seen in the past, they're going to more try and wall in that location. But Stefano, every single game I've seen of his today, DJ Wheat versus Protoss, he's gone for 3 bases. And it does look like, you know, I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that again.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Stefano way of playing. You know, absolutely. This is what he likes to do. In fact, he has even sort of defined that style a little bit. And then it comes down to, you know, maps and how does the Protoss, say, deal with you taking your 3rd or trying to disrupt that a little bit. You know, MC had a lot of really solid luck with that, but I feel like, you know, Stefano's got a great grasp on that late game, which a lot of Zergs don't. And I think that's one of the reasons why he enjoys PvZ, while there's Zergs that, you know, quite frankly would rather shoot themselves in the head than have to play PvZs over and over and over again. And so I think even for some Zergs, that's confusing. Like, how does this guy win all the time? How is he really breaking the match down in a way that I'm not able to do? And I do feel like Stefano's got an amazing grasp on PvZ.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, if there's any Protoss who's going to be comfortable, you know, in the late game, it's obviously going to be Squirtle. The reasoning being is that he loves the mothership. He says it in interviews multiple times, and you saw him in that game get a relatively early mothership. It wasn't the earliest that I've seen, but at the same time, like, he's saying, okay, if I get this mothership out, that's a super late game tech, I'm going to be absolutely fine using this. And, you know, for a Zerg player to go against someone who's so confident in this matchup, and even MC, I mean, he loves playing PvZ, and able to take him all the way to that very last game here. Now we do see Stefano able to get up that expansion. Hasn't been too heavily delayed here as the probe right there did not set up a pylon at the 3rd base. And once again, Stefano just doing it where he sends that drone, sends one Zergling along with it to chase down that probe, and down goes the 3rd base once again.
You know, I wonder what Stefano was thinking when he saw this wall and sort of, you know, what his opponent is going for. We've seen Stefano mostly go and play those macro-heavy games, but we've also seen him be able to flip that switch and really go super aggro with the Zerg in the early game. And, you know, a lot of times he'll do that based off of what he sees his opponent actually going for. In this particular case, I don't see anything from Stefano where he's deviating away from what he typically likes to go for. So, you know, sometimes he will react. In this case, he's just going to go ahead and play his normal game.
And, you know, we've seen him before be able to hold off a multitude of rushes by even still going for an early 3rd, which for a Zerg player can be very difficult to actually defend that. We did see him actually fall the first time to MC, able to tweak his build just a tiny bit, getting out a few more units a little bit earlier, and was able to eventually hold that off. We do see right now Squirtle's going to set up sort of a wall right here in case these rockets do get taken out, but he is going to leave an opening there as well so that he can transfer workers over there should that expansion you know, get set up there for that 3rd base. Now we do have Warp Gate on the way here, and he's assigned to Chrono Boost out of Stalker. Does he have it rallied down? Yes, he does, all the way down to the base. And this is usually okay to do versus Zerg, because if they're going for 3 bases, I mean, they're not going to have that much gas. You can see Stefano currently at 0 gas. What that means is there's no Zergling speed, so that Stalker can always escape safely.
Yep, and we now have over here both gases going down inside the main for Stefano as he starts to get that with pretty typical timing. Get a few more drones, then he'll throw down his Evo chamber and his Roach Warren. at that point, will he be going for any sort of, you know, I mean, I think this is kind of the front door, the exact kind of front door that Stefano would love to knock on with his roaches and just knock it down and get the job done at that point. But he's not, again, showing any sort of early aggression quite yet. Still, I'm really curious to see how these positions are going to play out in the grand scheme of things. It does kind of offer the potential for a split map game, but will it even go that far? The last game certainly had the capabilities to do just that, but Lair is on the way. There's the Roach Warren and the Evo Chamber just right on cue there for Stefano. Yeah,
I mean, right on cue indeed. We've seen him do this almost every single game, DJ Wheat, where he gets it around the 7-minute mark, the Evo Chamber following it up as well, and then, you know, sometimes getting the Lair first, which is what we're seeing here, or just wait a little bit to get it after the Roach Warren. But he's saying, you know what, there's no chance of an early attack, at least from what I've seen so far. And, you know, from watching Squirtle play, he just doesn't seem, at least at this tournament, like the kind of player who's going to go for a super early attack. He's not going to be throwing down 7 gateways, trying to end it like that. Instead, he's going to be playing it very standard, long term. He's adding on the 3 gateways right now. And, you know, he also plays relatively greedily if you compare him to a lot of other Protoss out there. He has 1 Stalker and 2 Sentries. It doesn't take that many units to defeat something like that, but he takes those risks. He uses as much scouting information as he can, and he gets himself set up in a great spot for the mid game.
Stefano already up to 63 drones to his opponent's 50. His supply right now 83 to 60. Starting to really get out more and more Overlords. And there's 28 Lings in production, burning away some of those minerals that he has stockpiled up, getting a second Evo Chamber and a macro hatch right away. Meanwhile, we do have that robotics facility all said and done. He did chrono out an Observer. Now that Observer already making his way into the natural of Stefano to see exactly what is going on. And as far as the gateways, there are 4 gateways here for his opponent, with 2 more being thrown down for a total of 6. He's got his +1 finish. He's waiting for his +1 armor to finish up. And these Lings going around the backside still not have speed, but there they go, and away they run.
Yeah, the speed just finishing right there, right when those Zerglings were getting to his opponent's base. Watch out, Sentries. You do not want to get surrounded, and they do. Managing to force field, though, but some of the Zerglings are right on top of this. You cannot afford to do something like this because at this point, the Zerglings are basically free. You don't have, you know, you're not worried about your income as far as making Zerglings. So throwing those away, killing off a couple Sentries, that's going to be okay. Actually, he didn't get a Sentry there. So the force fields were good, and he holds it with relative ease.
Yeah, I mean, those Sentries, they are hurting pretty badly. You can see there a lot of them now regenerating the shields, but the holes were significantly damaged. And I think that, you know, considering what happened in the last game, that Squirtle held that off quite nicely. More gateways going down at the 3rd to create a wall here. We now see Stefano getting rid of those rocks in between his bases. And what is he doing from this point? Getting his carapace, getting his +1 melee, his infestation pit going down, another hatchery already. You know, he feels like he's got the defender's advantage. He can throw down that 4th base, not really have to worry about it too much. But what's he going to do to crack this nut, this front door? The 3rd base is going to go up. It's going to be relatively difficult to get any units in there without taking a lot of damage himself.
Right, yeah, exactly. We saw the multi-pronged Roach attacks be very important throughout this entire tournament. And, you know, we saw Stefano do that himself quite a bit. And we do have Hallucinated Phoenix here, just going to be scouting around. And we have seen a lot of Protoss recently go for Hallucination in the mid-game instead of, you know, cutting an Observer and then going for Hallucination, things like that. We do see them just use it even if they have an Observer because, you know, they are so quick. You can also warp in units that act kind of as a meat shield in those battles, whether it's going to be warping in Zealots. And, you know, once you know all the hotkeys, which obviously a player like Squirtle is going to, you can warp in just a lot of units almost immediately by spamming that hotkey. So we'll see if that actually is used here. But it's kind of a hard choice, choosing between Guardian Shield, Force Field, and Hallucination.
Yeah, now I'm really curious. Stefano did just get the Overlord speed. Is he going to follow up with Ventral Sacs as well and maybe go for some sort of a drop play? He's got a bunch of Lings still scouting out around the map. Right now we see another Stargate going down, Warp Prism and Blink right behind that for Squirtle. And these guys both teching up pretty heavily on both sides. Pretty much what you'd expect to see out of Stefano, but Startail Squirtle's certainly mixing it up. I mean, Colossus a potential here. The Stargate's coming down. There he's getting Storm as well as +2 weapons underway. And, I mean, he's just kind of all over. He's going to have a very, very diverse composition.
Oh man, I don't know though. With this many Immortals in the group, there's once again not that many roaches on the field. I mean, 3 Immortals to deal with just, what is it, 8 roaches? Something like that? Yeah, he has 8 roaches on the field right now. The Storm is going to be beautiful for him though. If he can deal with the Zerglings using the Storms, I mean, you can kill... you can actually kill an infinite amount of Zerglings if they're too clumped up with just a singular Storm. And so if he can land those Storms or perhaps go for Storm drops, which we have seen the effectiveness of his Warp Prism harass. He has 2 Warp Prisms here, DJ Wheat.
Yeah, and you know what? He is a monster when it comes to those drops. We didn't really see it. I mean, he was doing good in the last game with those, but, you know, not in the same way that he was able to do with sort of some of his other opponents throughout the weekend here at the Red Bull Battlegrounds. I mean, Squirtle did have the one moment where he actually went for a Storm drop without having Storm. But after that, he completely demolished entire drone lines as a result. There's a burrowed Link to stop that 4th. Good move by Stefano, but he's still sitting on a lot of Link supply here. The initial Corruptor starting to get out. Do we even have the first Colossus out quite yet? The answer is no, so he's going to be okay. And here we go, an attack at the 3rd of Squirtle.
Yeah, and Stefano is just itching to attack right now because he's completely maxed out. He has the Hive Tech on the way, so he is going to need some of that supply in a little bit. So a lot of these Zerglings are going to be expendable at this point because we see so many expansions going down. We see Stefano saving a lot of money as well. And, I mean, to be honest, like, Stefano was able to deny this 4th base here. Now, a Protoss player is going to tend to be very comfortable on 3 bases because you can get quite a large army with that, but it does look like there is going to be a drop inside the main base here, and he managed to actually force field here. Stefano does not have that many units. Actually, no units inside his main base.
Yeah, I love this. Throwing some Infested Terrans up top, but the damage is still going to be done here as he was able to sneak in that Warp Prism, now killing drones left and right. Here comes the rest of the units. Another attack over on the other side. And oh my gosh, he takes down the Spire. And look at how much damage was done by those units and a few force fields.
And that also, you know, you have to remember that with this many Warp Prisms on the field, he is going to be able to harass these far out expansions. Because remember that one of the things that Protoss has struggled with a lot is being able to deny the Zerg those corner bases. And, you know, using that Warp Prism play, double Warp Prism play, even he was able to do that. And we also, once again, have a Mothership on the way. It does look like this 4th base may get denied once again, though.
And here we go. He's going to go in. Zergling starting to chew on that, and it's going to need to be canceled. It is not canceled. It does go down, and a multi-pronged attack coming out here, but it will be stopped here by Squirtle. He's going to clean this up there. The Nexus goes down, canceled yet again, and he just cannot seem to get that 4th up. Meanwhile, look at the amount of Zealots that are just been warped in here that are going to go and attack this 5th base. It's completely undefended, and he could easily clean this up and possibly go to the 3rd. Uh-oh, but here comes a huge swell of units coming in for Stefano.
We do see the Warp Prism moving out on the right side as well. Remember, they got buffed a while ago, so they do have a lot of HP. The hatch rate is going to fall down. Stefano leaves it because he knows it was going to go down anyways. He needs to defend this inside the main base, but the Warp Prism actually got taken out there. Might have been still in range of that Spore Crawler, and of course he did have the Corruptors as well, able to take that out. So Squirtle hoping to do a little bit more damage there, but he was able to take out a base, which means this outlying base right here is going to be even more vulnerable. It's going to be less creep spread in that way. It does look like this Warp Prism may get taken out as well, but more importantly, there's a Zergling counterattack up here. But it's not much of a counterattack if you're running into their entire army.
Yeah, it's now going to make its way into the 3rd. Not many places they can run from this point. They can burrow, but I think he just wants to give that supply up, and he forces this army into a somewhat awkward position. It's not going to do any sort of damage, but it's going to kind of, you know, it just kind of, he's moving him around quite a bit. But more importantly, he freed up that supply. Let's take a quick look at the upgrade watch. And as we see here, we've got Squirtle at 1-3. We've got his opponent at 2-0 on missile and 2-2 on melee attacks. One thing that is just mind-boggling is the fact that Stefano's bank is 6,000, 1,000 in minerals and gas, and Squirtle has 1,500 right now. So again, we've talked about this, the ability to reinforce, having those extra hatcheries all over the place. Stefano I just can't see him losing this game.
Well, the main problem, I think, for him is going to be the fact that he doesn't have that much gas. Zerglings are not going to be that effective versus the amount of Archons that are out with the +3. So we'll see if he can actually do it here. He does need to be very careful here. Can he get a good surround? His entire army is on the right side here, DJ Weed, and the Mothership is in a good spot. Squirtle has a surprising amount of units here, and he did buy enough time to get completely maxed out. So here we go. The Mothership is hanging back just a little bit, does not want to get that snipe. One Corruptor will go down because of a poor rally, but right now, I mean, the Protoss army is best when it's at your front door, and here he is.
Well, this is apparently how you could lose this game. Positioning is everything, and right now Squirtle is looking phenomenal in terms of the way he is moving his army and how he chose to attack. He doesn't even know it yet, but there is another base over on the west side. Is he just going to go for a forced counterattack and maybe a base trade situation? We do see these Broodlords try and move back, but there's not that many Infestors left, and there is a huge Protoss army right here.
I mean, really, Stefano doesn't have all that much stuff on the field. I mean, he has some Zerglings, and it's mostly the Roaches, but that's not what he needs. These Immortals finally going to be able to shoot something that they're good at killing, and these Roaches are on hold position right there. There went a Vortex. I don't think there's that many units inside. It does look like Stefano will engage here, though. He does have huge smuggles onside the Stalkers. It does look like, though, right now, look at the supplies. It's 186 to 192. He blinks forward, trying to do a lot of damage to this army, but there's the Broodlords popping out right now. There was no Archon inside, so they will be able to shoot quite a bit here. The expansion on the left side has been taken out. It does look like Squirtle will come out ahead.
Yeah, 20 Roaches about ready to hit the field along with 30 Lings. He's trying to keep his all of his detection alive, and now he has got to defend here at the front door. Roaches coming out, 10 more Roaches on the way, and another Vortex. Army you had, army is gone, and he's going to be able to clean this up, and again, positioning huge. He sent Zealots to clean up the west side of the map. There's another huge warp in. And
what? Those are all High Templar, every single one. You got to be morphing those into Archons right in the base, and there is the GG from Stefano.
He's left with such a huge, I mean, he was maxed for the longest time. He had such a massive bank. I'm surprised. I thought Stefano had all the right makings for a victory there.
Yeah, I feel like maybe he just did not have enough gas-heavy units in his army composition. He had so many Lings for such a long time, and then for some reason, I feel like maybe he just wasn't mining enough gas. I'm not exactly sure, because towards the end, yeah, he had 6,000 minerals, but really the only thing you can make with that is Zerglings and Roaches, because he had a little bit of gas, but that's not going to be great versus Pure Blink Stalker with the Mothership mixed in as well. So I think that's where it went wrong. And that does mean the next map is going to be Antigua Shipyard.
Yeah, so, you know, thinking a little bit about that last game, you know, we did see extra bases come out of Stefano that were relatively unscathed in game number 1, and that's where a lot of his extra gas was coming from. Those additional geysers are up. You know, I thought maybe he was going to go for drops, just getting that Overlord speed for some better scouting. He had that max pretty early on, and he only went for that attack at the 3rd. He was able to deny the 4th a few times, but Squirtle just playing very nicely.